So this coming week, this week coming is gonna be one of the most important week of the year, both fundamentally and technically. And it's amazing how it lines up the way it does because essentially, before the last week, everything was kind of looking bullish, and then I didn't really see it coming. In fact, I totally missed this downturn. Incredibly, this downturn last week led it to be where it is right now, which is Amazon on the 50-day, bouncing from the 50-day moving average, which on the surface appear to be bullish. However, you can look at the weekly; it is bouncing off of the 5-week moving average, but it's also two red candles, so that's not necessarily bullish. That is actually negative. And on the monthly, you can see right here on the monthly, it's really, the month isn't over, but this coming week is going to be the most critical week of for Amazon and the market. Amazon, of course, have earnings on Thursday, so I am expecting any weakness at the beginning of the week to hopefully be rescued by Amazon. I'm expecting earnings to be good and maybe a recovery to wherever before a sell-off in November. And the reason why I think there's going to be a sell-off now next week, of course, is one of the biggest earnings. All the major companies are reporting earnings. You got Spotify, Shopify, Apple, Amazon, Google, Facebook, Twitter, Starbucks, Cordell. You got all pretty much a lot of the big earnings reporting this week. It's gonna be heavily whatever the results and the guidance, it's gonna be heavily fundamentally for the stock market is very critical because I mean, even though you got stimulus and printing from the Feds, if the earnings are not favorable, and so far the earnings so far has not looked so good. You got Netflix missing, you got Tractor Supply Company missing, Intel, IBM, Chipotle, Domino Pizza, Coke. They're also missing. So the early reportings is not favorable. So this week is gonna be the most important week as far as earnings for Q3 and also the guidance for Q4. The reason I missed the downturn this week is kind of embarrassing. Is really because of this blank seed. So this right here kind of seeded in my head that they're going to try to manufacture a rally and also the stimulus talk and whatnot. Every all waiting for the stimulus to pass and a bounce higher at any point last week. We are hoping it to pass and a bounce higher. It didn't happen, of course, and so it ended pretty much on the low, except for the afternoon. They always take control in the afternoon for whatever reason, and you got this short covering rally. This is not gonna carry over to Monday. You say, well, it bounced off the 50. Yeah, it bounced off the 50, and normally it would carry over, and it should carry over, except fundamentally. I believe fundamentally the reason why you got this downturn is it's not it's shorts, yes, but at a point you should have seen a rally, a bounce, whether it should have happened on Thursday actually, or Friday. It should have been stronger. It shouldn't have happened in the afternoon. This is more of covering, shorts covering for the weekend. I mean, they did bounce it. They did gap it up. So the front runner was gapping it up, and they were expecting, the momentum to carry on because there was a lot of call options and whatnot. Instead, they did the exact opposite. It was the pre-market. This gap up and this pre-market strength was all pretty much head fake, and they sold it down. And when you get this type of sell down, you can't just trust that it's gonna recover because all week it's been weak. It's been very weak all week long. So I'm not it's that's why it's so difficult to play Friday. I mean, it's just option expiration, and yes, you got a channel technically, but it's just this type of morning weakness kind of just messed me up and stopped me out, so I really didn't play that Friday. However, let's talk about what's going forward. This looks like a bounce, and if you look at the QQQ, you got a support of the 20-day moving average on 5 days support on the 20-day moving average, and you got two tails indicating that this candle, this coming week should be a positive week. Technically, that what it looks like, but I'm not 100% convinced is because fundamentally, I believe the reason why we're getting this sell-off fundamentally is because you got COVID. Essentially, COVID is looking like it's going out of control, and this is not fundamentally. This is pretty bad. So Saturday, Sunday. I mean, oh, yeah, this is Friday, Saturday, and let's see what happened on Sunday. But it's going a lot higher. You can see all the data is now showing. Even Texas is getting a second wave. You got Alabama spiking, South Dakota, North Dakota. This is their first wave, but also Montana was. I mean, you got just, and it's the cold month coming up. So you got November, you got the winter months coming up, and you got COVID just taking control of pretty much all the. Even California is showing the second wave coming. I mean, look at that. This is gonna lose control, especially with um the November elections and people are trying, I guess, rallying. It's just funny how, to me, it's kind of funny how you got this August rally. Everything is going down in COVID. Then you got the holiday from Memorial Weekend of September, and then right then is when I guess the front runner knew that this was gonna spark the Memorial Weekend, the 3-day weekend. Um, is going to spark a re-entry into COVID, and it actually did. And so, they front run the November crash, and it's funny how they everything was rallying on the QQQ. You can see exactly right here. You can see August just running, and then all the way at the peak. And then the same folks who probably engineered this run up timed it perfectly so that the peak was right at September 2nd, and then they just sold it off. And then of course, you got the Q3 with the October coming, and so you got this initial rally for October, and then now you got the sell off for the first week of earnings, but COVID looks to be taking control. And once it's at this level, it's not gonna turn around. How can it turn around when we already implemented all of this social distancing and mask and all, and now I mean, this virus is so infectious that with all the measures in place and it's still out of control, this is not going to be a good thing. I mean, if you look at the world trend as well, it's mainly the United States that's causing this spike up, but other countries, I'm sure, is gonna follow suit. It's gonna follow suit because the winter month is gonna be pretty harsh, and that's just the way the virus works. When you got a R naught of 3.5 or whatever it is, it's just very infectious. Um, this virus is so infectious, we might lose control. Fundamentally, I am very concerned. But next week, they it's always, I'm sure everyone sees the same thing I'm seeing. The fund managers, the feds, the president, everybody who in the financial market digests this data over the weekend, just like I digest the data and try to fundamentally determine what the heck is going on and where we're going with this. Um, there's probably a good chance the stimulus is going to pass this coming week, especially if you get a sell-off on Monday, Tuesday, depending on the results. If the results get so much worse on Monday, let's see how Sunday normally they underreport, so we don't know how it's gonna look in the futures. But then on Monday, you probably it's gonna probably lose control. This thing is probably gonna go toward 90K this week. So this is gonna spark a lot of fear. If COVID, all the news of COVID being lost, and this data is just gonna spark more fear, we might get a sell-off. So that sell-off is obviously gonna spark a stimulus to pass. There's no way it's not gonna pass next week. Unless, I don't know. I guess I can't really say it's going to pass, but I mean, they're under the same pressure to save the market because if it, it's this is why it's so difficult to predict the future. Even though you see fundamentally, it's just, I mean, this should be a crash coming because the way COVID is going out of control. Um, yeah. However, the people, the people behind the curtains, they know this is out of control, and they might somehow save it. The Feds might somehow save it with printing. You're always gonna second guess yourself because it looks so easy to just short this market and make a shitload of money, because it does look very bearish. However, you can never know for sure. Because of course they can pass the stimulus bill, they can announce the vaccine is right behind the corner, they can announce a lot of reason to spark a rally or recovery after some kind of sell-off. So we just gotta take it one day at a time. But let's look at the earnings real quick and see why. You got Netflix missing earnings, and you got Domino Pizza missing earnings. Um, so what else? Intel Corp, IBM, yeah, Tractor Supply Company. So these early companies that report earnings, they normally report pretty good earnings. I mean, even Coca-Cola. So so what are the short candidates? Well, the short candidates, you got to play the short side. I don't know what I can tell you, because the way fundamentally you got to go with what the highest probability, and this looks like it's lost on COVID. From the world standpoint, you got over 500,000 new cases a day on on Friday and Saturday, and now you got what the data on the world is kind of, it's not up to date yet, but on the it's still near records and probably more to come, above 500,000 a day on new cases. And you got the United States going toward 90, 80K. Maybe this will get to, maybe not Sunday because they normally underreport on Sunday. But Monday, probably gets to 80K. Tuesday, probably maybe above 80K to 90K. Who knows? The data is all pointing to every state's pretty much getting a second wave, and this is the second wave that I guess Dr. Fauci was talking about in the winter. Yeah, it's coming. This is out of control. So you can't play the bounce. I don't know. I don't know how to play the bounce. Just because you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days bouncing off of the 20-day moving average, and you got these candles, doesn't mean that you're gonna just go technically. You're just gonna go blind and say, look, it's gonna bounce. I can't play like that. You gotta play the short side, and so the shorts candidate is gonna be Starbucks. Um, Obviously, why would you be short on Starbucks? Because you got Chipotle missing earning, Domino Pizza, Coke, and this guy right here. It's sitting at pretty much an all-time. I mean, look at it in the monthly, sitting where it's way too high. They're reporting earnings on Thursday. So Monday, if I can, if the futures, if hopefully they don't gap this, hopefully they don't crash this on Monday morning, but you know how it is. They're probably gonna the futures are probably gonna be down so big, and who knows? I mean, it might gap down 5 points tomorrow, and you won't be even get a chance to short this. But for me, bearing that I'm lucky and Monday doesn't, maybe it's even positive on the opening, I can sell the puts, and I'm gonna sell November 6 puts, hopefully for two above 2,000. That's not a lot, but it's better than nothing, I guess. And maybe just sell one, just or two. I don't know yet. But I'm gonna definitely sell the puts because I don't think Starbucks is gonna beat earnings. The way you see Coke is, it missed earnings, or at least it went down. So that means that it reported and they didn't like earnings. Now, whether it rally from here, I don't know, because you can see Chipotle initially missed earnings and now it rallied. But I think this is a short too. So Chipotle is a short because it's a rally, but it could just be a short covering rally, and so I would say Chipotle is a short candidate, um, a a decent support candidate, along with what's the other company? Tesla is the other company. So I think Tesla is a short candidate, and the reason why is because you got this thing on both the weekly. So the weekly sitting right here. Um, and this thing looks like it's losing momentum. It's no longer a golden child, and the fact that they sold off on earnings is not good. So you got earnings, a gap up on earnings, and they sold it off. Then they sold it up on Friday, before they got a afternoon rally. Tesla does look like it's a short, but it's not as good as Tesla doesn't look as good as Chipotle and Starbucks. Um, what else you got? Let me see. Coke, Intel. So the other shorts will probably be these guys right here: Snap, Twitter, and Google. So these guys have been rallying. And this is all momentum driven. These are shorts covering. Look how Snap gapped up, and they pushed it all the way to 44. I mean, this is definitely a short candidate. I'm gonna see where I can get it. Maybe sell some puts on Snap. Um, I don't know if I'm gonna buy puts or not, but November puts. Let's say 45 right here, $3. 10 of this, that's 3,000 by November 6th. It should start to fade and maybe even add on to it if it continues to go up. The other one is Twitter, which has earnings coming. And I think Twitter earnings, yeah, it's on Thursday. So this is going to probably miss earnings. Um, so that's a short candidate as well. What else? Um, Google, of course, is a short candidate, because you got all this run up. I don't know why it's running up, to be honest, and I think it's just in sympathy of Snap and Twitter and all the all the stocks related to COVID has kind of rallied. So you can kind of see that those stocks that COVID is really important. It's really fundamentally, investors and hedge fund managers and momentum traders are looking at this data and they're saying, well, look at what, these companies like Zoom. Zoom is still looking pretty nice. It's all the way up there, even though it's retraced. You look at the weekly, it's really nice. This is probably the one I would probably buy. So for the bounce, because you can look at this technically, it's pretty clean, and it looks like maybe at the 500 level, If you get lucky on a sell off or something, Zoom is definitely a buy, whether it gets to 500 or below 500. Now, if there's a crash, then you definitely want to wait. But pending no crash, you're gonna expect that a stimulus is coming. You're gonna expect that there's gonna be some news about a vaccine coming, something that will probably spark a rally. Maybe the stimulus will be the spark, and with the stimulus, this guy's hopefully bounce. The only thing is it does have three peak, so you got one peak here, two peak, three peak here. So, but still, Zoom is the golden child as the biggest, market cap for the stay at home COVID play. You got other things like Nets, but not Nets, Net, um, Cloudflare, but it's not, the market cap isn't as big. So I would stick with Zoom. Let me see, what's the other one? Square, Tulio. These are all kind of Paycheck, Peloton. These are all covered play. No, they're all expensive, of course. So I would go with the best one, which is Zoom. On any downturn, I'm expecting this. This is the only play that you can, and there's other, of course, but this is a solid play for the whole COVID thing. What else? So shorts. The biggest shorts I got is Starbucks coming up. Maybe Cheesecake Factory. I mean, this thing is rallying. Looks to be at a point where technically it is up, coming up on the 35, monthly on the 20, and you got this is the 200, the 20 right here. So technically anything at this level probably be a short. I don't think Cheesecake is gonna beat earnings. So Cheesecake, Chipotle, and Starbucks are all shorts. Of course, Snap is a short. Same with Twitter. And Snap is only a short because of the short route covering. This is all short covering right here, short covering. So I'm only shorting it because it looks like it should lose steam eventually. So that's why. Same, and Twitter have earnings, but I don't think Twitter is gonna beat earnings that much. Google also is a short candidate. Facebook looks like a good short candidate. Yeah, this thing is a also. I guess this is just a social media kind of thing with Snap, and so Facebook is kind of playing the Snap play, but and they do have earnings coming up. So I don't know if they will beat earnings. VeriSign, I think they miss earnings. Let me see. VeriSign, yeah, they miss earnings. But though I'm not sure if I'm gonna short. I won't short VeriSign. I just want to mention that VeriSign is a good channeling stock. And anytime you can find a good channeling stock with very solid, you can look at this yellow 5-day moving average to indicate the channel. So a channeling stock is actually very difficult to find because at any time it can get out of that channel and run one way or another, and then you can lose a lot. But this one has a history all the way back to pretty much mid yeah, late February all the way up to right now to be a channeling stock. So that's pretty nice, and it's sitting in the low channel, so this is a good play for channeling. So I like that. I just found this out just going through the earnings report. So VeriSign is a channeling stock. Then you got the earners, the huge earners that are coming up. Spotify, Shop, Overstock. So Shopify on Thursday will report earnings Thursday morning. So any downturn, I'm expecting any downturn. I would like to probably sell the calls. That means I'll be bullish on the earnings. I'm expecting decent earnings out of Shopify. I don't believe they will miss. I think they will report pretty good guidance coming up. So let's just look at some candidates. Yeah, this is guy right here is a uh. Let me see. Why is that so expensive? Oh, selling the puts is what I would be doing. So, any one of these guys is fine. Even 3,000. I mean, selling the puts of that's 3,000. That's okay. Even if you sell one put, it probably won't miss. If you want to be more aggressive and go on the really upside, you can go 1050. I just like to play conservative right now because you never know. Yeah, it did have a nice rally from the 1,000, so I should have known, but I wasn't looking forward at the time. On Friday, after I'm not showing, let's see Monday. Let's see. Hopefully Monday you got a gap down and a sell off with COVID. So let's see how bad this thing will get to the 1,000. There should be an opportunity. These options are not going anywhere this week until later this week. So the biggest play will be Shopify, Spotify. Oh, I probably won't play Overstock, but these two should be bullish for Thursday morning. And of course, you got the huge play on Thursday afternoon or Thursday evening, the close of Thursday. This is a option play dreamland. This is heaven for the option players because you got all these candidates reporting earnings on Thursday after market, which means Friday opening, where the IV is the lowest. All these guys will be, so many players are going to be getting on him. So I'm expecting Amazon to have good earnings, of course, because that's my baby, Amazon. So what will I be playing? I'm definitely will be selling a put. And I don't know if I will be selling the October or the November or even both, depending on how stupid I feel. Yeah, if I can, but I'm definitely gonna be selling something this week on a downturn. Hopefully the stimulus does not get passed, so that you can get a huge sell-off this coming week on Monday, on Tuesday. Hopefully you get a huge sell-off with COVID going out of control. If COVID goes really out of control, it'll start off weak on Monday, it'll probably fail this 50-day moving average. And on this 50-day moving average, it's just gonna collapse on Tuesday. The collapse on Tuesday, hopefully, if it meets up with this 100 on by Wednesday, man, that'll be a pretty good scenario to get Amazon selling the puts. I I don't know if I'm gonna be buying any calls. I mean, it seems like a nice play because guess what's gonna happen if this thing get down anywhere to here next week and earnings is good, which I expect it to be, it's gonna be up, probably around here, at the 38.2. It's gonna gap up that much. All the way to 38.2 on Amazon. I mean, that's amazing. Just to say already it's gonna go to 38.2, just like that is what happened to my Fibonacci? It just disappeared. There it is. So yeah, 38.2. Um, Probably be where it'll probably gap up to that for Friday, and that's a lot. So, but buying the car is pretty nice, but it's so expensive right now, and it will continue to be expensive. So, but if I'm lucky, if we're lucky, we'll get a nice trend will continue to go up, and it should. No news on vaccines, continue to be struggling on the stimulus. No passage of the stimulus. A sell off after weakness on Monday. You got a sell off on Tuesday. And then something for Wednesday. Probably on Wednesday, if it happened, I'm probably going to sell some puts for Shopify and Spot. And hopefully with that money, Unfortunately, yeah. So that will open up on Thursday, and I can close those position and get into Amazon. I don't know if I can get into Apple, but Amazon. Out of all this play, the only one that looks nice is Amazon, to be honest. So yeah, I'll just stick with Amazon really, because I know that Starbucks is gonna miss. Google is probably gonna miss. Facebook, you never know. It's probably gonna beat just the way Facebook is. It's probably gonna beat, and then you got Credell and Band, and Twitter's probably gonna miss. Um, and Apple is the iffy play, but I'll just stick with Amazon because that's enough. To me, I just can't believe Amazon will miss. I just don't see how they will miss, to be honest. So that's the play I have going. Let's see if there's anything else. So just to recap, we'll be shorting Starbucks this week or selling the calls. Yeah, and probably Snap. We'll be trying to sell the cars on Snaps, maybe on Twitter, on Google. Don't know if I would do it for Tesla, but Tesla's also a short. For any sell off, I'll probably buy Versign in my 401k. Maybe there's some other candidate like Domino Pizza is on support level too. So I might do that on my 401k. Look at, yeah, this looks pretty nice on any sell off. But yeah, who knows? I might change my mind. And then of course on Wednesday, if there's a sell off on Monday, Tuesday, I'll be selling the puts for Shopify and Spotify. These two should beat earnings, and Thursday morning they should, come out with a gap higher. There I'm gonna sell the puts, close these positions, sell the puts for Amazon, and hopefully Amazon will beat earnings pretty nicely, and that would be the play. So let's just look at the broader market and see how we're looking on the weekly and the monthly. So here you got essentially you got the QQQ looking like it's technically it looks okay. But COVID could change that because the month isn't over, of course. SPY looks okay as well. IWM looks okay as well. Financial looks okay as well. Now these all this looks okay right now. But again, technically, just because technically it looks okay, fundamentally, I think this is just gonna take control. If especially if this runs out of control. And if you just get more cases every day for both the United States and the world, you can see the world it's gonna start taking control. So fundamentally, it doesn't look good. And so Zoom, yeah, Zoom, I that's the other one I need. I probably mention. I probably it's a long candidate. So that's a nice play for COVID. Might even buy it for my 401k. There's probably other candidate, but I think I covered the majority of them. So this is probably a pretty nice. Next week is gonna be the biggest week of the year, or potentially. So many earnings. This Friday play is gonna be so big. So I'm looking forward to that because you got so many earners coming out. So many big tech earners Thursday afternoon. So Friday is going to be major movements. Just to show you just what happened on Thursday, you can see how they gapped it up. Um, they gapped it up on Thursday, and you got this pre-morning strength, and that's all a head fake. And so right then, when it got up to 31.94, it just sell it off. I mean, this is amazing. They just immediately sell it off. At that point, you just like, oh, that's it. So I did play for a counter rally, got stopped out, and so I'm done. I'm not gonna play it. But you can see how they engineer this essentially higher this channel higher low, and then at this point where you got the VWAP, you got this option squeeze and this huge rally. This looks nice technically, but just because it looks nice technically, it doesn't mean it's gonna carry over on to Monday. So there's a lot of people who bought. Looking at this, they're gonna say, "Well, it bounced off of the 50. It looks like it's gonna continue to go higher." We'll see what happened in the futures market and Monday morning, but I don't believe any of this data. Like I said, they can completely the next day, which is of course Monday, it can completely be gapped down. This all this can mean nothing. All this can be nothing. Just anyone who bought any of this and held onto it, it can easily gap down really big on Monday because of COVID, and it should. Fundamentally, it should, because this is really bad on a fundamental basis unless something crazy releasing the in tonight's news or this evening about either the stimulus passing or COVID vaccine or something positive to news about the feds or something to spark a continued rally, and they may do it. You never know. But if there is no news, the COVID play is just going to override everything, and the future should be down big because the front runner knows that COVID is lost, and so if the future is down big, then what the Monday morning it should gap all the way down here. I might buy some futures actually. I might take a look. When is the future open? Like 5 o'clock or something. Might buy some futures if it doesn't. See how it is. If it gaps down a little bit, I might buy the puts on the futures, and maybe I'll do that. That's a good thing to remember. Yeah, and so Monday it could be a huge gap down. But look at this play right here that I saw, but I didn't get into. This was a nice right here, the calls right here from the afternoon they took control. 5 to 34 on the calls. I mean, I saw this and I didn't play it. Yeah, one of these days, I mean, I just didn't have the guts because I just couldn't believe it's just gonna. I mean, I've had a feeling, but yeah, I just didn't until it happened. It's like, man. So the option players do take control, and this week is gonna be huge for the option players, and they're gonna take control of it this week. So there's gonna be so much movement this week. Maybe a crash on Tuesday, and then a recovery with the stimulus bill on Wednesday, Thursday. Who knows? Wouldn't be holding anything overnight, and I wouldn't be selling too many options because it's just risky. I wouldn't be holding any runners because any runners can potentially you can get a crash or a stimulus bill to pass, and it can go from this point to this point in a blink of an eye, just like that, just from the overnight. So yeah, lots of opportunities, but also lots of crazy things that can happen. Potentially, you can blow your account if you're not careful. So let's see what happens.